The Mixed Mornings and More podcast with Steph and Sean.
Now available daily.
Good morning, world. Hello, and welcome to the middle of the week. It is Wednesday, June 29th, 2022, and it is early in the morning. Sean is not here today. He has taken a couple days of holidays, so we won't see him again until Monday. We hope he has fun. But we're going to have fun together. It is the first day of summer for so many kids who were going to school all the way up until the end. I know a couple kids took off early, so they didn't go to school Monday, Tuesday, but to the ones who did, congrats, you made it. Enjoy your sleep in today. Let your parents sleep in too, okay? If you grew up in the 90s, you probably spent every Friday night watching TGIF. Now, that was the hit 2-hour time block on TV on Friday nights where Boy Meets World and Sabrina the Teenage Witch reigned supreme. And then there was 2 other shows like Meet the Hughleys or Teen Angel, or I don't know. They just switched out so often, but those 2 mainstays were always there. And I was scrolling on my phone the other day when I came across a reel that had Topanga in it and Sean in it, and then some random dude I didn't recognize. But here is a little clip of what they said.
Hey, it's Danielle Fishel,
Will Friedle,
and Ryder Strong,
but you may know us as Topanga,
Eric,
and Sean from the TGIF staple Boy Meets World.
Okay, I have to say that Eric had a complete glow up. I had no idea who he was, but he is also going to be in this new thing.
What are we all doing together as adults in 2022, acting so carefree and hilarious?
Well, we started a podcast called Pod Meets World, where the 3 of us are going to sit down almost 30 years later to watch every episode of the show and talk about what we remember.
And what we don't.
None of us have seen an episode since it aired back in the 90s, so...
What on earth? How is it that these stars who have like the most influential childhood shows, same thing happened with One Tree Hill, none of us have seen an episode since we filmed them. What are you doing? How are you not watching your work? I listen to my podcast every day to try and get better. Of course, they were great. They didn't need to get better, but still.
So we'll be witnessing our middle part haircuts, hooded t-shirts, and teenage overacting for basically the first time right along with you.
Oh my goodness, I can't wait. So it came out on June 27th, and they're watching like every episode together and discussing it, and I am so here for it. I'm heading out to Athabasca tomorrow, and I will be listening to that podcast on my drive. Are you a regular somewhere? I've always been too cheap to be one. If there's free coffee at work, I'm probably going to drink that first unless it's a special occasion. But right now, in like the McDonald's app, you can get $1 iced coffees. And I have kind of made that my morning routine. I drive from Gregoire, so I stop at the one over there and I grab myself an iced coffee, and life is great. But this morning I was running a little late, and so I didn't get to put my iced coffee order in quite correctly. But when I pulled up, I guess I've become a regular because there's no liquid sugar in my iced coffee and there's milk in it instead. And I thought like, wow, this is the first time in my life this has ever happened to me. But I did work at Tim Hortons in high school, and I would have regulars all the time. You know, there was like the large 2 milk and the medium 2 cream 1 sugar and things like that. And I used to see people out. I'm really good at recognizing faces. And I would say like, oh, hello. And they would kind of look at me confused, like, I don't know who this kid is that is saying hi to me. And then I realized I don't know who they are either. I could just point out large, 2 milk, medium, 2 cream, 1 sugar. Wait a second. We aren't friends. And you usually see me with a visor and a dress shirt on. I like to think that hitchhikers are just people who are looking for a ride, but TV and horror movies have led me to believe that every hitchhiker is looking to murder me and steal my vehicle. However, growing up, they weren't as popular back then, the TV and movies, or perhaps my dad was just a lot more brave than me, and he has always picked up hitchhikers, and always with me in the car, and sometimes they sit directly behind me because I'm in the front seat and they're in the back seat, and sometimes they sit directly beside me if I'm the one in the back seat, and none of them have ever tried to murder me or done anything bad. They've just always been so thankful for the ride. And my dad kind of has this thing where he'll have a chat with them and try and understand what's going on and where they're headed, and if they have a little bit of extra time on their hands. And oftentimes he'll hand them a little bit of cash, and other times he'll invite them to go out to the cottage with him and get some work done, and he'll pay them for a day's work, or, you know, why don't you come over for lunch and then I'll take you to the staging area or wherever you're headed to. And I always found that really, really really kind. It's like a good Samaritan. It's like, I hope that guy is the one that picks me up when I'm hitchhiking someday. I hope I never have to hitchhike. I'm a little bit nervous about it. It's going to be the serial killer that gets me just because that's my nightmares. We're talking about hitchhikers this morning. Do you pick them up? Do you drive on by? Do you hope somebody behind you picks them up? A lot of people are saying that they do. Amanda said she has picked up a couple folks on Highway 63, and she's also picked up some folks who have run out of gas close to Wandering River and just taken them over to the gas station and then taken them back to where they're headed. Great job, Amanda. We need more people like you. And then Ryan said he's been a hitchhiker, but he's never picked anyone up. But he also said that a friend of his hitchhiked all the way across Canada, made it there alive. Of course. I think the crazy thing is with the way that TV and movies have gone, I kind of assume that every person that's a hitchhiker is actually trying to kill me. But in reality, they have to be a killer to want to kill you. A lot of times they just really want a ride, and that's what they need, and that's what they're hoping for, is that you'll pick them up. So I really appreciate these stories of good Samaritans. Also, we had Glenn. He said that he often picks up people on 881, and he'll give them a sandwich and a coffee and send them on their way. So great. Thank you so much to these people, because we need you. We need folks who are willing to take a chance on somebody who's looking for a ride and give them just that. Amazing. Have you heard of the Mandela Effect? It's basically a term where you remember something that happened that didn't actually happen, but it's collectively. So, for instance, the Berenstain Bears. Apparently, it's actually called the Berenstain Bears, and nobody remembers it like that. Everybody that grew up in the 90s always wanted to watch the Berenstain Bears, read the Berenstain Bears, but it's not true, apparently. It was always the Berenstain Bears. Or that Nelson Mandela died in prison in the 80s, which absolutely didn't happen. Or that Sinbad starred in a movie called Shazam. Also, apparently not true. But the Duffer Brothers, who created Stranger Things, are actually doing this on purpose. They're creating the Mandela Effect. They have said that they are changing certain scenes in the previous seasons, and even one in the current season 4 of Stranger Things, to fill some plot holes or to switch a few things around. So they've actually already done it in the former seasons. So if you watch them again, you'll see a new scene, or you'll see something a little bit different. And basically, I think they're purposely making this Mandela Effect, but they're saying, one of their characters had a birthday mentioned in a different episode in a previous season that was not correct in the current season. So they had to kind of fix that up and stuff like that. But I actually remember Boy Meets World, one of my all-time favorite TV shows as a kid. The final episode, I always remember Mr. Feeney saying "class dismissed" and walking out as the final scene. It's not true. I have it recorded on TV on VHS from that night, and it didn't happen, but it is burned in my memory as something that did, and I can't find it on a DVD anywhere, and I think I've been Mandela affected, but perhaps they just changed it like the Duffer Brothers, and just back then there wasn't the internet to tell on them. Oh my goodness, I finally have an in-person interview with Jason Veks from Waypoints, and it has been, exactly what? Of course, it's been
5,000
over 2 years.
Yes. Yeah, pretty much.
I'm so happy that you're back in the studio. It's so great to see your smiling face and not just hear it over the phone. Jason, what are we talking about today?
We are obviously talking about the Waypoints 50/50. It's back, folks.
Yes.
So that means I'm back.
And it's a great way to get yourself some summer cash, summer vacations. Those flights, they are astronomical. Renting a car is astronomical. May as well try and get it for free when you can.
100%. And of course, the landing page for the 50/50, if this doesn't excite people, is there's a little cutie named Skippy on there. I've named him Skippy. He's our mascot for this 50/50, a cute little puppy who's waiting to take your money. So yeah, you'll want to go and check him out. If nothing else, go check out Skippy.
For sure. And that's waypoints5050.com. Now, of course, the benefit of winning money is such an amazing thing, but also the benefit of helping out Waypoints, which is such a pillar in our community for helping out our community members. Can you tell me a little bit about Waypoints?
Sure, I can tell you a little bit. We're huge, typically,
Yes,
so
you are.
I can't do it all in one breath. But people can go to waypointswb.ca, obviously, for more in-depth information about what we do. But specifically, we have the women's shelter here in town, which is for women and women with children who are fleeing domestic violence, and it's a 45-bed, 45-room shelter that's just operating here close by, right over next door. And we have our sexual assault healing center as well in that building. And then, of course, across the street, we have our Compass building, which houses our second stage shelter, which that's 13 units, apartment units, ranging from studio to 3-bedroom apartments. And it's a secured wing. So basically, it's for women or women with children who need longer term supports. So if security is still a risk for them, or if they just need a little bit extra time to get back on their feet. So they stay there for up to 2 years, with up to 2/3 of their rent being subsidized by us. And that program alone costs us upwards of $300,000 a year to operate, just helping them with their rent to be there. And then, of course, we have our outreach team that goes into all of our communities in the region, and they're actually ramping up now post-COVID to get back out into our community. So we're super excited about that right now. And then of course, our Opportunities for Change program, which is an offenders program, 15-week psychoeducational program that we get clients through probation who are deemed appropriate for the program. And they go through 15 weeks where they basically get psychoeducation on choices that have been made and how to make better choices type deal. And then, of course, we have our latest is our Child and Youth Advocacy Center, which we're super excited about. And that's basically for a child or a young person who's experienced abuse or have been a product of domestic violence, where they come to one stop shop and all the services that they need come to that one safe place for them. So we've been seeing great success with that center as well.
Wow, amazing. I mean, if that didn't make you want to donate,
Skippy will.
Find their
Skippy
website.
will.
Yeah, Skippy will. The cutest little guy. It's waypoints5050.com. Currently, the total is at, let me just refresh my page here, $5,460. Winner takes half. But there are 15 hours and 45 minutes left to get your ticket. So, of course, we're just going to see that total climb and climb. And please help us see the total climb. Tell me about ticket prices.
So ticket prices are 1 for 10. 50 for 25. I always get this backwards. And then 250 tickets for $50.
Wow.
Which is incredibly. I mean, people have won upwards of $33,000 on these. I am dying to give away $100,000.
Oh, yes.
Because my favorite part is picking up that phone and calling somebody and telling them they've won.
Yeah.
So I really want to call, you're listening right now. I want to call you and tell you you've won $100,000. So, but you got to be in it to win it.
Exactly. And what would you do with $100,000? I mean, that would be pretty life-changing. You could pay probably off your mortgage, some folks. You could buy that Lamborghini you've always been wanting.
Take that trip to Europe.
Yeah, so many things. You could probably do multiple things. You could pay off your debt and go to Europe and maybe buy a secondhand Lamborghini. Like, so many things.
Okay, so I can't win because I can't buy Steph, but if you win, will you take me?
Absolutely,
Okay,
Jason.
good,
You are so invited. Waypoints5050.com. Jason, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Want more of today's show?
Download the Mixed Mornings and More podcast.
Now available every weekday.